Hey everybody, Sakar here, and today we're going to be going over some starters for Season 3. We're mostly looking at Acolyte starters, and I have a couple of Necro ones. I have a Lich starter as well. I'm kind of deferring a lot of the starting stuff to some other planners or builds that people made, but I do have kind of like in-game goals or transitions you can make from those planners that are options outside of just like whatever else is available. But the first build, and the build that I think I will be starting, is going to be Poison Skele Rogues. You can see footage from last season of kind of a variation I played. It was a very low budget using Vessel. And I mean low budget as in like the gear that I had wasn't crazy outside of like some of the uniques, but it's a build that could farm Vessel on the gear that I had, which was not very much. And so, yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty good build in terms of clear and everything. I think it's going to be a lot better. I think I have my calc sitting around like, I don't know, anywhere from like 10, 15 mil for this build. Just like pretty, not min-max or anything, but like pretty like up there. I think it's a pretty good build. Great starter. Be able to clear all the content outside of probably Uberoth. I'm not sure if it'll be able to do Uber or anything, but maybe we try it. Who knows? But the ease of access to this build and kind of what it's able to do is really nice. So that's why I'm starting it. But anyways, let's get into some planners, shall we? Let's get into these planners. Should have had them prepped, but I did not. All right. So for Poison Skele Rogues, pretty simple setup. For the starter, you're essentially just going to be going health regen on your gear. So I'm going health regen with poison damage, minion damage, things like that are all good to get. I put various different options on the affixes here, spread across the gear, and also put in different aisle options. So that way, if you create a loot filter from the planner, or if you want to create your own loot filter, you can see what kind of options are good outside of just like what's best in slot or what's best. So that's kind of how this is set up. And the only thing that's really necessary is the lethal concentration for damage, but it's not completely necessary. You can play this build just fine until you get these items. So just run damage over time on the weapon instead of like getting a lethal concentration or anything else. Run damage over time on the weapon, and then you can ignore ribbons of blood until you get that. And I'm not even sure we're gonna need ribbons of blood. Another thing that's kind of iffy about skeletons is how their survivability is gonna be in the next patch. I think later on it's gonna be a lot better, and so I'm hoping kind of that some of the changes that I made to this build will be able to stick and last, and I guess make it 10 times better. There's so much more that Skele Rogues are getting compared to this patch going to next patch that I think it's gonna be pretty nice. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of the gear. Just regen on all your gear, health where you can fill it in, and then for your weapon, damage over time for minions, poison penetration, until you can get a lethal concentration, and then you're good. Start building poison damage, and you're ready to go. The passive tree is pretty basic. We're just going straight in for minion survivability, as well as poison damage and poison chance for our minions. So you can notice that I get like the poison res here, the res here. I'm trying to get all the res that we can so we can make the minions last, and also just not have to resummon as much. This is a resummoning build, as in whenever you go into a monolith, you resummon and you put your Dread Shade and your Infernal Shade on your minions, and they should last. And you could continue monoliths and they should last, but to make it easier, I just recommend like every 30 seconds or so resummoning a Skele and then putting the shades on. I do kind of like build it for some cast speed on the regular build within the trees, so it kind of helps a little bit. And then I guess some of the sketch parts of this build is like using Rip Blood for sustain early on, but with the regen, it should be fine, right? Like it should be fine. Another thing is using the Infernal Shade without the set ring. You can't do that, so pretty much locked out of a skill until you get the set ring. Or you can run, you can run Wandering Spirits if you go the different options. You'll see in the other planners that I have here for the in-game what the two variations are. But yeah, essentially you're running rogues, and what you're doing is you're cutting them in half, and this is giving you a big multi. It's damage multi here, which means that our damage ramps a lot faster, but we just have less skeletons. So they're going to live a bit longer since they have the increased health here, which is going to be nice. We go for all the damage here. We take the Vial Flask. We take the cooldown recovery and damage here, and we get rid of all the other types. It's pretty simple setup, pretty easy to go. And I'll show you kind of like how I transition in this build from the other starter that I'm going to recommend. But yeah, we're going to go yoink that starter from Tarek. Shout out Tarek. But it's okay. So for this, we're also taking Aura of Decay, obviously to get the more poison damage here, and then the pin, Red Blood for Sustain, Dread Shade, where you're taking the single minion node, and then poison here, so it's applying poison every second to our minions. Obviously, the more damage over time, and then obviously the more damage over here as well, right? We should have 5 shades, which allows us to put 5 shades or Dread Shades on each minion, because we should have 5 rogues. And then if you get the set ring, or when you get the set ring, you can run the Lich's Scorn set, which gives you +4 additional shades. Take the shade count here, take the shade count here, and that gives you +6 additional shades. You get 4 base, that gives you 10. We have 5 rogues, so that means 5 Dread Shades, 5 Infernal Shades, which gives them a bunch of attack speed. Now, this is kind of a iffy setup, because you have to cast 2 shades. You have to do 3 casts, the Skeleton, the Shade, and the Infernal Shade. But so far, this is the only one that I've tested that has like really good damage output. So I'm not sure about the other one, but we can show you kind of like the in-game goals or the aspirational planners that I have. So this is the one with the set ring. We're using Twisted Heart and some funkiness here. Oh, I should probably change. You can get health instead of the damage as well, but we're using Twisted Heart here with Rip Blood and kind of like scaling cast speed to essentially take advantage of our ward retention and get ward on top of our health. So essentially, while you're in single target or packs, I mean, they should be clearing packs pretty easily, but if there's ever like, a larger mob, you just want to cast Rip Blood on it to sustain yourself. I think you'll be getting quite a bit of ward doing that way. But yeah, if you don't want to worry about doing that and you want less cast, there's the low life version. And essentially, instead of running Twisted Heart, we go low life with the low life armor, or the low life items if you don't have these items. And we instead grab the Gravestone here. And with this, the Gravestone allows us to essentially use Wandering Spirits. And I'm not really sure what's most important to go. I've only partially filled the tree out because it's not really beneficial other than the multi that you get. And essentially just gives you 15% more poison damage over time against cursed enemies, and our minions will be cursing because they'll be applying Mark for Death. So in the starter, if you drop the Gravestone, you can run the Wandering Spirits. And then these are the 2 variations. And I'm not really sure about the Twisted Heart and Rip Blood setup, if it's something that I'm going to like or if I'm going to prefer the low life. So we shall see. And, all these are probably going to change or might change at some point, just because we have no idea. It's a new patch, new things. But Poison Skele Rogues looks promising, looks fun. I'm playing it. Next one, next starter that I'm going to talk about is the Revenant Minion Army. And I believe that on max roll, actually, if we go to Acolyte and we look for leveling, yep, boom. So Tarek has a Necromancer leveling guide, which is almost identical to the Minion Army build that I made. Outside of, he's doing his own damage and stuff, or his own scaling and stuff. You can do ward per second. You can do health regen. You have plenty of options here. I'd follow Tarek. He usually does leveling pretty well in that regard. But yeah, so essentially the goal of the build is to take all the minions early on. So what I like to do personally is start skeletons, and I just start skeletons and I keep them over Summon Skeletal Mage because I'm eventually going to transition into them, right? So I start building towards rogues with skeletons. As soon as I unlock Bone Golem, I take Bone Golem and rush this flat cold damage here. This essentially just makes our Bone Golem, whenever he runs and charges and uses his abilities, to slam, and it'll like instant kill packs with like, once you start getting the multis here, he just does enough damage where it'll just clear really easily. And then the next thing you want to get is Wraiths. And with the Wraiths, once again, you just go for the flat, the percent more damage, and then some of the summoning cast speed before you head over here and grab the more melee attack speed. with race, they're bugged in at least the current season, where this node is just always on or toggled, and so you can summon race at any location. And when you do this, they clear so fast because they just instantly weave or like reave a pack and kill them because they do so much damage just from a baseline. So for clear and everything in single target, because you can get 6 of them doing so much damage, it's absolutely insane. So leveling is such a cake with Minion Army, right? Once you get Dread Shade, it takes off. The thing that he does with his is he opts for a bomb, and essentially you can do a swap between the Minion Army and the A bomb versus whether or not you're doing bosses or if you're clearing. So whenever you have a boss scenario, you just go in, summon your A bomb, boom, and he's good to go. With my version, I'm opting out of summoning the A bomb, and I just go for rogues, summon wraith, bone golem, which is mostly just holding our dread shade and everything else. I take the Ore of Decay, Phys convert for Phys, and then we take summon Revenant. So yeah, that's kind of my Minion Army, is this Revenant Minion Army where you have the Revenant summoned, which how you summon a Revenant, just use Transplant, So hopefully with Dread Shade, if it's still snapshotable, I'm not sure if you're going to need this on your bar or not, but regardless, anything that makes you lose HP, Ore of Decay, whatever, will proc him, your Revenant, over and over again. So you should always have him up. You don't have to worry about it, right? And it'll just happen every 15 seconds. And then he should last that duration with Leech and everything else, right? Or, I'm not sure if he's going to be leeching like crazy, but, should be fine. The build itself is pretty, it's pretty chill, I guess. Like it's just a Minion Army build. I don't see this doing like crazy DPS or not crazy DPS, but like as good as a DPS as the skeletons in any variation. I mostly just see the poison really being on top, especially early and ramping up. And like this early is really, really good damage. And then poison kind of like comes online and goes beyond that. And then, yeah, it just keeps scaling. This build doesn't really scale nearly as much. It just has like a kind of like a cutoff point. But people like the Minion Army playstyle, and so yeah, I'm recommending this as a Minion Army playstyle. And there's many variations you can go for. And by the end of it, you can always transition into A bomb or Wraith Lord or whatever build ends up being, kind of the meta for Necro after the dust settles. Right? There's gonna be a lot to explore. I mean, not that much with Necro, but sad day. But we got it. I do have some other planners here, but those are kind of the two starters that I would like recommend. If you're gonna start Necro, definitely start this guide regardless, the Minion Army guide, and then you can choose then what you want to play. If you want to play more of an active Necromancer playstyle, or if you want to play more of a relaxed Necromancer playstyle, or if you want to play the good old A-bomb, which many people are theorycrafting currently. I have mine as a double strike A-bomb with no stomp, but I have no idea what's going to settle on that. So I've helped others with all the planners and everything, but I'm just kind of step back from that and let it fall, let it see where everything might fall. So yeah, those are the two starters that I recommend. And then let's just get into some other Theorycrafts that I had, and that we can talk about, or I guess those are two starters for Necro, and we can talk about the Lich starter, which is the Poison Shade Lich. I think this is something that is really, really good as a starter, just because it's poison. You get a lot of your multiplier from the tree, and it doesn't require too many like really, really chase uniques or anything that's hard to get. And yeah, you have Mao, who I think has this as a recommendation on his YouTube, which is, I think it's a couple different variants, but mine's a little bit different in how I played it, and I played it during the Lich tournament for Max Roll, and so it was a solo character found character, and literally just easily cleared everything. Like the build is actually really, really good and does quite a bit of damage. And it's one of those builds that has a very, very low ramp time, because the poisons that it applies, while it's not very many, they're very potent poisons. And I think this build got quite the buff, and will be probably really, really, really insane next patch. Seeing you have like dual wielding with Lich and everything. But for the planner and specifics, I don't have like a starting planner. I would definitely recommend looking at Mouse for a starter, but I recommend this as a starter because it's a very, very easy to gear build, and it cleared all the content very, 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 very easily outside of Uber. Once again, let's make that clear. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have the Uber builds, but these will get you to the builds that are the Uber builds. Okay, that's what I can promise. But yeah, for my planner, since you can dual wield, we're just running the two daggers. For this, you rely on a lot on your cast, so Twisted Heart is a shoe-in, right? And then we're just taking I think the Frenzy Helm. I have no idea what else to go, but this is a draft, right? I'm working on this, right? So, and then I took most of the items that I took last time. You have to take Lich's Envy to get the minus mana cost for Infernal Shade to make it free, because you end up like scaling the cast or the mana cost on it, and you have so much cast speed that it's near impossible to sustain. You have to take the Cycle of Putrescence here. This is going to be essentially what's helping you have your zombies be up. That's going to proc your other minions and everything. Like when you look at the zombies, it'll proc other minions. You'll have a chance to proc your zombies on death. Once this gets going, you'll actually start spawning your wraiths because you're killing your zombies and their little guys, the little parasites that are then spawning wraiths. So it's a pretty fun build, and this will also spawn more Infernal Shades, which if you go over your Infernal Shade cap will cause you to deal more damage. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy build, but this is kind of the setup. And with AOD could be pretty fun. I take the Hungering Souls. I don't know if I like it for a single target where you just get the 40% more damage. But like, what else am I gonna run here? Do Death Seal or something? I don't know. But yeah, this is pretty much the whole build. And then you just take Reaper Form, of course. Nothing crazy on the idols. Blessings, I'm missing one. You don't even need this blessing. See, that's how good it is. But just kidding. No, the build is interesting. I don't know how this is gonna work really, or if it's gonna be something that I do. I don't know. But this is kind of the idea I have, and this is the draft that I came up with. Obviously, it's very ZHP at the moment in terms of defense layers, but that is something I'd like to figure out as I play the build. Lots of fun stuff with this build. I think it's really fun, and the explosion pops are very satisfying. And yeah, it's just a all-around good build. 10 out of 10 would recommend, and that is why I'm recommending it. So let's go ahead and cover it one more time. For the 3 starters, we have Poison, Skele Rogues. My starter. We're just gonna be Giga Chads, as they say. The next we have Revenant Minion Army, which I think is gonna be pretty nice if you like that playstyle. And then for the final one, we have the Poison Shade Lich. So follow Tarek's guide at the very start, and then choose your weapon for the minions. And then I guess you could just start Lich if you want, and follow a mouse guide for Lich. In regards to everything else that I have here, oh, by the way, mouse guide, boom, follow this guide. And by the way, the other planners that I have here, I do have a Profane Oblation planner. If you do play this build, I think Loaf or someone might have pretty good guides on this. I have old guides that are on this if you want to follow those, that are pretty much the same. Like, not much has changed. You just probably change the in-game setup. I think Loaf has a way more tankier version that has cap block and everything with the Rex helm and everything. This is more ward focused, and you don't care about the vessel other than the % ward and mana, but mana stacking. So going for damage and getting a lot of flat from the Lich's Scorn. So I'm not sure how much. I don't think this one's going to be very huge damage either, in total compared to like the Poison Rogues or even just the regular Rogues. But yeah, this is another option, and I'll leave this planner down below. Once again, this is a draft planner. All these are just things I cooked up. There could be mistakes. Please let me know if there are any mistakes or anything that you guys think could be improved. I would love to hear some improvements, and I'd love to improve these builds. That'd be great. This crit. Skele Rogues. This is also a sketch build because I'm like, can we really rely on Rip Blood for for actually sustaining? Who knows? I don't know. So for this, I'm uncertain about. And I do have another setup takes like Bastion and stuff similar to this one, right? So you can go low life. So It's not really up to those. This is just another variant, I guess, a defensive variant. I want to see kind of like what the defenses can get to on Necro. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be disappointed where it's only low life for the most part, once again. So yeah, we shall see. For the cold crit skellies, I also have a low life setup that is essentially allowing you to get the double set because you get Lich's set and you also get pebbles for your skeletons. So yeah, you essentially just get a bunch of cold damage. You're a lot less tankier. But yeah, I think it's probably right around the same damage as the Phys crit, or maybe like right below. The Phys crit just is tankier, at least in this form. Based on the layers, not much sustain. I don't know about the low life version for this, but yeah, there's different options. I'm not quite sure what all I want to do, and so a lot of these builds I can't really recommend just because there's so much new stuff and I want to test things. But like the poison rogues, I can recommend because they're solid. The minion army, I can recommend because that's how I level and that's how I get through most of the content. And yeah, poison shade lich, I just did that. So those are the three that I recommend for starters. And yeah, let me know what you guys are planning to start for season 3. I'm excited. I'm really excited. These planners will be down below. If you guys have any questions, suggestions, threats, whatever, please reach out to me. Unless they're threats, keep them to yourself. But yeah, I think season 3 is going to be pretty good, despite the fact that we got absolutely bait and switch that we were going to get skeleton changes and nothing happened to skeletons. 0 things happened to skeletons. So they got a bunch of things outside of it, but that was like, that could have happened regardless, right? Or it did happen regardless. Nothing happened to skeletons. So please, guys, if you would, leave a like on the video. Once again, comment down below what you're going to be starting for season 3. And thank you. Peace.